that are like, I don't know that my grandmother would be happy if I did that, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over here and do this. So
Yeah.
I think that they trusted me enough to know, like, okay, we've
Sure.
given her some good basics, and I'm saying that people don't fall off the wagon, that there's anything wrong with them, or I don't want to be judgmental, but
Yeah.
I think they figured out she's got a good enough head on her shoulders we can trust
Yeah.
that she'll be okay.
How were you able to like navigate that space? Because comedy then isn't where it is today. Very patriarchal, even
Oh,
more so then. So you coming in, pretty much knowing your voice or developing your voice, but having a strong sense of self, because you sound like you kind of knew exactly where you were going. Was room
maybe,
just
you know.
made for you?
Well, it's interesting. So comedy in particular is a very patriarchal
Yeah.
th-
I mean, they're on the
experience.
platform. It's just a very male-dominated thing.
And it's a male thing. So let's get real with it.
Yeah.
It's a very male sport. You are
Yeah.
standing on a stage. You're standing above everyone else. You're taller than anyone in the room could ever be, right?
Right. Yeah.
Your voice is amplified. It's
Mm-hmm.
louder than any booming male voice could
Mm-hmm.
ever be.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a guy, there are men who are intimidated by that. Not to mention, and I'm just going to go there, you're holding a large phallic symbol. Let's just go there. That
You are.
could very well be
And that's a
larger than anyone.
subconscious thing that sort of seeps into your psyche. Yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is a
you're right.
subconscious thing. And I think
Yeah.
my earliest hecklers were men. And especially since I would get on stage and be pretty and put my little skirts on and my little things. And it was like, no, I think that a lot of female comics, especially back then, I know that it's changing now.
Yeah.
You had to sort of figure out your voice and figure out how you were going to handle being in this world. And, a lot of comedy clubs in New York, they would only let one woman in, maybe, well, I would say this, 2 or 3 women, and only one of them would be Black. And it was almost like each sister, there's a group of sisters that they were the queen of their particular club because they just weren't letting that many in. And so you had to really, I don't think of it as a way of fighting. Like, I didn't put my dukes up. I was like, if you don't want me here, I'm not welcome here, I'm just going to go someplace else. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not the type that stayed and pushed open the doors for others. That wasn't my way. I did it by being excellent wherever I showed up, and then the doors stayed cracked open. I didn't push any doors.
Sure.
I don't think I knocked any doors down. I think once they let me in, I left it cracked open for others. Y'all can come on in here now.
Okay.
And so I did it by I think, always being professional, showing up and being excellent, finding the joy in every situation, and leaving a space if they didn't want me there, and finding a new space. Y'all don't want me here, I'm gonna go over here and do this over here. And so got noticed quickly, and there were other women who let the door open for me.
Sure.
I love telling the story. There's a woman named Angela Scott who, one of the clubs was hers, and she didn't have to open the door for another sister, knowing that they only were going to let 1 or 2 in anyway. She opened the door so I could come in. She recommended me for other opportunities. And so we hear stories of women fighting, but the truth is there were girls who would, say, listen, I'm doing an all-girls night on Thursday. You want to come down and perform?
Yeah.
Great. And so I saw sisterhood because I was looking for it.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, Kim. But you also have these little friends that you would take along with you that actually made the way for you. What is Shaniqua Jefferson and Blossom McNeil and Jewish Suzanne doing nowadays?
I also want to say too, let me just, before I talk about my girlfriends, I want to say that there were, I ended up meeting a really cute guy that I ended up marrying. And there were, there were not cliques, there were groups of people that formed to help each other. And so people helped each other along the way. And one of them happened to be my now ex-husband. So I just want to give some praise to him. So I had plenty of folks
watching.
If he's watching from Canada. I shouldn't say where he is because he's off the grid.
Okay.
He says he's off the grid, but you can't really be off the grid. Anyway, so
not nowadays.
Not nowadays. So where was I?
But these girlfriends, there's Maria Linda and Jewish Suzanne and my favorite Shaniqua Jefferson. How are they doing nowadays, girl?
You have better do your research.
I have been following you for years.
Thank you.
You did one on the Apollo. I want to say the Spanish cheerleader. She was on the Apollo.
Yeah.
But since digging, I found out there were others. Because
Oh,
I
there's
don't know much
plenty.
about
There's
you and
plenty.
Suzanne, but I know the others.
Well, I'll say this: when you grow up in New York, which
Mhm.
is one of the greatest, I think it's the greatest city in the world, or one of.
Yeah.
There's a wealth of culture and voices and you know, people and races and religions and characters, and so I was in love with all of the characters that I grew up watching and that I grew up riding the train with and eating the foods and experiencing, and so I would do these characters based on people that I knew. So Maria Linda Rosa Rodriguez de Segri de San Juan, I made her up as she's a little piece of one of my Girl Scout leaders, and a little piece of every Puerto Rican girl I ever met and every Dominican girl I ever met. And like, you know, so I would take her and put her in situations like a fitting room. She was a fitting room attendant during the Christmas holiday.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you better take the belts off. That don't look good on you. Mommy is squeezing all your fat. Come on. But, right?
You're killing me.
There's a joy and an honesty that is like, oh my God, who are you? And then the Russian community, the Greek community that lived there, the, you know, the African community. And so I would take these characters and put them in places that all New Yorkers know exist.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing a bit that got me almost everything else I got in show business. I did a Miss America pageant. Again, I came back to my pageant.
Right.
And I would do the last 5, like the semifinals, the last girls, and do an interview, and I would just turn around and become Miss Florida, who was half Puerto Rican and half Dominican. Hello. Or maybe she was a little bit Cuban. Hello. Gracias. I'm so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Gracias. I want to win. Gracias. 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 Or, you know, Blossom McNeil, who's Jamaican.
Jamaican. I love Blossom.
I'm going to win this thing because I'm going to bring everybody delicious food to eat. Come on, eat. You're losing too much weight. Come, baby. Come. And so I would do these characters and just, you know, spin around and doing it. So it became, you know, the bit that got me. It was like an audition every time I stepped on stage. So yeah.
And that's how I got to know you, because when you did the Apollo, was it those characters that made space for you in the Apollo? Because that's a tough ass crowd.
It is a tough crowd. And to this day, no matter, and I will say this, that no matter where you are in your career, you're never quite sure that this could be the night that they turn on you. So I, to this day, get butterflies in my stomach. Even though I was loved there, and I am loved there, like if the audience sees any wobble in you, you have to go with 100% confidence. And so if they see it, they see an opening and they can get in. And if you let it bother you, then you're done. Now, if it may get in and you can fix it, then good for you. So I would do my characters and really get beloved, because they knew who those characters were because they were in the audience.
Sure. I feel like it's in the seats. Like the minute you sit down at the Apollo, all of a sudden your senses just become really finely tuned as to what's the real deal. You know?
Very much so. And the audience is an entity on itself. They are as one, even if they don't agree, because I've seen people get booed and other people go, no, let her go, she's all right. It's a whole other, you know, you've got the history of the Apollo, you've got, you know, all the people who ever performed there, all the ghosts, and I mean, you know, the legends, and then you have the audience. And so it becomes, the analogy I like to use is, remember, people always talk about the show Sex and the City, how the characters were not only the characters on the show, but the city itself was a fifth character.
Exactly.
So the audience itself is a separate character. I see some great people here. I saw Denise, my girl Denise come through. I see you. Hello, love. Okay, I'm trying not to look at the comments. I'm trying to focus on you, your questions. All right.
No doubt. So all this buzz, you being at the Apollo, was that what they were hearing about you when you were invited to audition for the sketch show in Living Color? Is that what sort of led to it, or you submitted? How did that process start? You
know, I remember now that I was affectionately known as that girl from the Apollo. So if I would ride the subway, like, oh, you that girl from the Apollo. They may not have even known my name. You that girl from the Apollo.
Mhm.
So I went to a party somewhere, and Keenan Ivory Wayans, I met him, and of course I knew him because he was part of the what they called at the time the Black Pack. So you had Keenan, Eddie
Robert
Murphy, Robert
Townsend.
Townsend,
Yeah, I remember
Paul
that.
Mooney, who we just
Hmm.
lost,
Yeah.
and a few others. And
Hmm.
so Keenan was like, "You that girl from the Apollo?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I am." He says, "I'm doing a show. I want you to audition." I'm like, "Oh, okay." He says, "You'll be hearing about it." I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I don't remember what period of time it was, but a little bit later, the comedy club that I, was a part of said they're doing these auditions for a new sketch comedy show. They're looking for comedians who can do
Mm.
characters. Well, I pulled out every character I've ever done and performed
Yeah.
an audition
Mhm.
and made it past that and was invited the next day to do another audition. So the
Okay.
audition for In Living Color was the most grueling audition I've ever done because you had to be able to do all these things. So the next day you were invited up to some office building somewhere to do improv. And
Mhm.
so I remember going up there and like all my friends who had passed the first test,
Mhm.
now we're there to improv. And so Keenan would put us all in a room. And it was so funny because he was sitting at a long table. You go into casting, those of you performers, there's often
Yeah.
people sitting at a long table, and he had lights in my mind. It seemed as if the room was dark, but he had a bunch of lights just on him and his team. You couldn't really
Yeah.
see them. It was scary and exciting.
Oz.
Yeah, right. Oz. And it was like, what else you got? And so
Yeah.
he would give us these situations and we performed, and it was a lot of fun, and it was
Mhm.
super grueling. And then once you passed that test, you got flown, all the people from all the cities he had gathered, because I think he
Mhm.
auditioned people in New York, Los
Mhm.
Angeles, Chicago, maybe a few other places.
Mhm.
And we all were called to Los Angeles to audition again on at the Laugh Factory. And it was an epic
Wow.
night because you knew that these were going to be your castmates or
Yeah.
not, or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I remember Takia, doing this great bit, on stage, with her, she always dressed in her African wear. And it was like, I never
Uh-huh.
heard, are you a comedian? She said, no, I'm an actress. I'm like, well, you're fabulous. And I remember Kelly Cofield did this great bit. She took all of her characters on stage. It was like a psychologist, like what do you call those groups? Like I can't even remember. I'm not good with
Mhm.
words, but just brilliance. I'll let you ask the
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
I'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah, no doubt. So did you feel as though you were among your contemporaries and your career had actually leveled up at that point? Was it a defining moment where you thought, okay, wait a minute, I'm in a different league now? I'm playing with bigger guys and bigger talents, or was it just a natural progression?
I think it was a natural progression because there were some
Okay.
people there that I knew, and
Mm-hmm.
there were some people that I didn't. So I knew of
Right.
Damon. So Damon
Yeah.
was also probably part of the Black Pixar. We knew about him.
Yeah.
I knew about Jim Carrey because he had just done that movie with
Oh,
Damon
wow.
Wayans.
That's
Earth
right.
Girls Are
That's
Easy.
right.
No, not Earth
Yeah.
Girls Are Easy. Was that it? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Uh-huh.
David Allen Greer, I may, or Tommy, I knew because Tommy and I performed
Yes.
together a lot. So it
Yes.
just felt like they were my peers, maybe with the
Okay.
exception of Damon because he had done Saturday Night Live, and Jim
Mm-hmm.
Carrey, who was relatively new to me, but he was also a movie star. So it felt like, oh, we're all going to do this thing. Oh, okay, let's go. And
Yeah.
there's a little known fact. I talk about it, but I don't know if your audience will know, is that we shot the pilot, but it didn't get picked up for a year.
Are you serious?
It did not get picked up for you. We shot the pilot for Fox. It was an hour-long pilot.
So it was always intended for Fox all the whole time. It was always intended for that network, I'm
Always
assuming.
intended for, yeah,
Okay,
always.
okay, all right.
But what's funny is New York, as New Yorkers do, somebody got a hold of the show and made bootleg tapes.
You could not buy your pilot on the street.
You could buy the pilot on the street.
I'm not trying to hear that.
So now people were like, you that funny girl from the Apollo. I just saw this new show you doing. I'm like, what are you talking about? Living Colors? It's a show called Living Colors. You in the show? I'm like, yeah, but it hasn't been picked up. Where you get it? And by the way, I'm dating myself, but here it goes. VHS tapes. They were selling the VHS tapes on the street uptown. They're like, that's a funny show. I like it. When it's coming on. I was like, it hasn't been picked up yet, but they don't know the language, right? They just know it's a funny show. It's going to be a hit. I'm like, so I knew the show was going to be a hit because there was such a groundswell
Because in my mind, that sort of bolsters a little bit of intrigue for the show.
I guess so. If whether or not Fox was listening to the sounds of the people saying we love the show, I don't know if they were even, if they had their ear to the grindstone or their ear to the streets to hear
They
that
were
it was gonna be
listening
hit.
to homie on the street about what to do with their program, is what you
Who,
say.
I don't know. But it's the ultimate market research, right? They should be
no
listening.
doubt.
They should have been listening. So they had no idea, I had no idea if it would get picked up, except I felt in my soul that it would, because the people were saying they enjoyed. Now we all know that the executives at these networks don't always listen to the people,
No,
but when they do,
yeah.
Somebody just said it was probably released on the low. Maybe it was released on the low.
It seems a little bit of, there was some construction there to that. So you talk a lot about learning and being exposed to the political side.
I just want to give some shout outs to some people. James Mathis III, he said focus groups outside Crazy Eddie's. Oh,
what is he talking about?
So Crazy Eddie was, I guess it's equivalent to, what's the big, they may even be closing here. What's the equivalent to the big Best Buy? Do you know Best Buy? Best Buy, where you buy electronics, you can buy TVs, electronics, VCRs.
One. Yeah.
They may be closing now. Crazy Eddie's was a shop where you could go and buy boom boxes, VHS thingies. And so, they would sell the product right outside. James, I love you. Good to see you. Okay, bye.
Thank you for that throwback, James, because I just learned something. Never heard of Crazy Eddie. Thank you.
In New York.
In New York. So you often talk about being exposed to the political side of entertainment as a result of your time at In Living Color. Not just your creativity, understanding that there is another angle, a dynamic to being on television that you pretty much just have to just surrender to. And you talk about that. Do you carry those lessons with you to this day in every project that you do?
I do. It's a combination of, here's the thing. I learned very quickly the political landscape of that particular show was that it was a family-run show.
Right.
And that the family came first. And that that's political if you're in show business. In life, your family should come first, right?
No doubt. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. The issue with that is when there's a hierarchy and you want to get seen and heard and have your day, and when that doesn't happen because there is a hierarchy. So that's how I'll put that. I'll say this, that it was a very early lesson about the landscape. Just because you're talented or beautiful or smart or young or tall or short or have the right skin color or the right hair color or the right nail length or the right, you could have all the right things in place. It doesn't mean that it's going to turn out the way you think it's going to turn out.
Oh,
right?
I'm a witness to that.
Yeah.
But you talked about earlier being able to understand what's for you and just going to the
next. So that's the lesson.
Thereafter. Yeah,
to have that lesson early on, because I only did 1 year on that show.
Yeah.
And who knows ultimately what all the reasons why or were. But
well, I know one in particular reason what it made space for, because I tell you, Sinclair.
Well, let's get there. So I would say that it was a divine decision that was made.
But you had a hand in that, sweetheart, because you let it go. You may have cried a little bit, but you were strong enough and you had built up that arsenal just to walk away from it. You may have kicked every freaking wall you see
for a while.
That's the process.
And you cry the lashes, and that's the lesson, though. Those lessons that you take with you are that this is just a moment. What lessons can I learn from here? And sort of stuff that in my backpack and put that on and keep going in life. And one of the things is that things will not always turn out the way you think they're going to turn out, but they turn out as they should. Particularly if you gather the lesson and you hold on to your joy. So what goes in my backpack first is a bunch of joy. I load it up with joy so that all those little lessons are sort of sit on top. Like, okay, so that the backpack stays light still. Because you and I both have a lot of friends in this industry in particular who they've allowed all of those lessons, all those experiences to weigh them down.
Yes, it's on their face.
You can see it on their face. And guess what? You don't... one of the things I learned in this experience is there are people for whom, how do I want to say it? you know, casting is paying attention to the audition process. And
Mhm.
they're sometimes choosing the person that they think they'll have the most fun with at the craft service table. I'm
Mhm.
not saying, because there's plenty of talented people, right? So choose the most talented, but choose the one with whom you're going to enjoy sitting around the table and doing the table read. Somebody who,
Yeah,
when you meet them at the craft service table, they're not going to be difficult or,
sure.
you know, like, oh, I don't even want to see your face. Like, she's so pleasant to work with. Hire her. They're all talented, but she's a doll baby. Get her in here. So
Yeah.
I want to say that those are some of the lessons I take with me too. To
When you
yeah.
saw Sinclair on paper,
Mm.
was it what we saw on the screen, or did you just construct her from the ground up? Like, how did she become who we all know?
You're
Because in
so
my mind,
sweet.
I'm like, how does anyone write these layers?
Yeah.
I mean, she had so much going on, even in her silence and just sitting still. So it had to have been all of those years of you with those characters and in New York and building and those pageants. Like, you built her. Tell me that you built Sinclair.
I was a part of building her, and I'm so
Okay.
grateful. So here's a story that a lot of people don't know. Um,
Mhm.
After leaving In Living Color, divine decision, I accept. Yay, cry, cry, boo, boo, hoo. Wipe the tears, throw on some lashes, and keep going with life. What happened
Yeah.
was I got called to a meeting at Warner Brothers, and they said, we want to do a show about women of color. And it's
Hmm.
about their relationships, how they feel about men, their careers, and growing. And oh, by the way, what do you think of Queen Latifah? I was like, I love her. They were having the same meetings with her at the same time. They put
Unbeknownst, you didn't know.
unbeknownst to me, they were looking to put this together. So this got crafted. They put the two of us together first, and then it was, let's find the right writer, the right creator to put this together. So we both fell in love with, you know, they gave us the option to meet with a bunch of writers, and we did. We both
Mhm.
fell in love with Yvette Lee Bowser, and it was
Oh,
like,
joy.
let's sit and work with her. So we were allowed to, encouraged to, invited to help shape our characters, shape who we would be. So she created these two cousins and then created the world that they would live in. And so I got to be involved in the creation of Sinclair. And in fact, at the time, my manager's name was Sinclair, Sinclair.
Oh, wow.
And so I became
Mhm.
Synclaire. And
Mhm.
so infused her with light, joy, a little bit
Mhm.
of goofiness, which I
Yeah,
am, a lot of bit of
yeah.
goofiness,
Mhm.
and the balance between Khadijah's character, who was, you know,
A little bit rigid and by the book.
right, but that's, you
Yeah,
know, guess what? That's in sitcom world, you have opposites
exactly.
that
Yeah.
work. Here we were
Mhm.
cousins that loved each other, and we were very different, but we were there on the path and on a goal for the same thing, to grow,
Sure.
to learn, to find love,
Yeah.
you know, find our way, and that we found it together, along with these other amazing other people that also were created very quickly. Eric
Yeah.
Alexander, there is no one else in the world who could have been Max. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
Did
Yeah.
they audition people? Yes, they
Yeah.
did, and hands down, that's your girl. Kim Fields, come on, who was primed for her next thing,
Sure.
her grown-up role. She had been guest starring in things, but Regine was chef's
Yeah.
kiss perfect for
That
Kim.
was our first time seeing her not as a youth and in roller
Yeah,
skates and braces.
right.
We're like, wait a minute, she's grown now, and she's grown and sassy. I mean, it was a lot going on. I'm
Grown and
like,
sassy and a
yeah,
pro, and brought all that
yeah.
expertise to it. And then of course John Hinton and TC Carson. It was just the
Did
perfect
you
blend.
guys understand what you were doing at that moment?
Mhm,
Because it's like, wait a minute, you have these six Black people
mhm.
holding space. And I don't know, had we seen that before? So were the networks sort of tepid in their advertising and pushing it, not knowing that,
Yeah.
because there wasn't a precedent for it. Like, how was the beginning of it?
There wasn't a precedent for a Black woman to create her own show.
No.
There
Yeah.
wasn't a precedent for these 20 somethings, you know, Black folk, you know, doing, you know, especially in the way that we did it, where it wasn't buffoonish. We really were
Yes.
progressive, and we were Black, and we were, you know, you have TC Carson's character, who was a on Wall Street, but had his
Mhm.
locks, you know, his twists, and wore African clothing. We were unapologetically Black. I would say that I don't feel that we got the respect and the marketing dollars that our white counterparts got. Not at all. But what's
Yeah.
interesting is I think they underestimated us. They called us a Black show. But when we would go out and do things and be places, I love to tell the story about running into a little old Jewish man at the bank who squeezed my arm and, hello, darling. How are you, darling? I love that show. All of you girls are beautiful. You're absolutely beautiful. I love that show. And I knew who he was because I grew up in New York. I know who that little man was, and he
Yeah.
knew who we were, and he got it.
Yeah.
And I think I know for sure they underestimated us, because the show has never left the air since it got canceled.
No, it hasn't.
And I see the complexions, the skin tones of the people who watch that show, and they range from the you know, whitest of white, translucent, to the chocolatey, most delicious, to all of us.
Yeah.
And everything in between. People resonate with the friendships and the family, and it's not just a Black show. It's a show for everyone.
Yeah. Are you okay with people just always identifying you by Sinclair? Does that rub you at all sometimes? Or do you just embrace it and just know that that is a part of your legacy in entertainment?
Ding, 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 part two. Well, you know, ding, ding, ding. I tell you why, because I have to respect her. People call me, I've had this happen. Hey, Sinclair, like, hi, how are you? You know, my name is really Kim. Like, I know your name, but you Sinclair to me. I can't fight that. Why would I? Here's what I'll say. I embrace it. I cherish it. And it's important that people know that I do other things, that I have so much more. I can tell that it was such an important show, and so many people tell me the time frame that they were watching the show and why it locked in. There are women who are attorneys to this day because of Maxine Shaw, attorney at law.
Oh,
she did not. Right?
A friend of mine, Joy Ride, is on here. She's from Atlanta. I mentioned her in the introduction, and she reminds me of you. You know, her sensibility. She's smart. She's a little kooky. She reminds me of Sinclair. So I get it. You had a huge influence, especially on not the nerdy Black girls, but I would say the more book smart Black girls. You know what I'm saying?
There's a meme of the nerdy, like what do they call, the awkward Black girl? Like especially after Issa Rae's show came out, there's a meme of all the awkward Black girls. So it's me, it's Freddie from Different World. It's, you know, there's a whole handful of us that are just like weird and awkward. I lean into my awkwardness because I've never been sleek and sophisticated. I'm just, I mean, my thinking is, but I lean into that even in my advanced years of almost 60. We'll get there. And because why would I run away from that if that's my magic? And that's the lesson I would say to everybody here too. Don't run away from your magic. Run towards it and embrace it. It's what makes you different, unique, amazing, and stand out. And so I embrace Sinclair, and I want people to know all the other things that I'm capable of and able to do. And by the way, you can't play goofy and light like that without having some depth. Like I couldn't do that if she didn't exist in me as well as something to ground it. It wouldn't have worked if it was just all, you know, something else.
No doubt. Were there ever any dramatic roles in the pipeline that came through that were somewhat presented to you or you passed on, or was it always comedy?
That's interesting. Interesting question. I'll be honest with you and say that drama up until very recently has scared the bejesus out of me.
Are you
and
serious?
People say that comedy is easier. I go, nope, it's the drama. It's the drama that's like, so there have been opportunities that have come my way, and I just either I shied away from them or I auditioned and did a horrible job. Here's the thing that happens with me. If you just give me the job, so I'm saying this to anybody who's listening, if you want me to be in your dramatic piece, just give me the job. Don't ask me to audition, because that little 4 pieces of paper, I don't know that I've got the time and the energy to, you know, to take it, and, you know, but if you give me the job, I'll take the time and there have been things that have come my way, and things that I knew that I would not be the best for either. You know, part of knowing your lane is, I want to be challenged, but there's some things I know I probably wouldn't get hired for because it would be so much of a stretch.
Sure.
for me and for it. So, and there's a
Yeah.
few things I've said no to, and that's another lesson I'll leave. You can be as defined as your yes by your yeses as you are by your no's. And
Sure.
I will no doubt cop to the fact that I've probably cut off some opportunities. I was like, I'm too scared, which is why
Yeah.
Scotch, Scotch Loring, you know what? Okay, so Scotch Loring, who's
The
here,
producer is on here.
the producers. I love when your producers here on the show, not just off, drinking a cocktail somewhere. So so Scotch put me in his movie. So Scotch is someone who has given me a job, and then
Yes,
I
he
rocked
has.
it. And of course he coached me to a fine-tuned dramatic role, because there's a lot of comedians that if you give them an opportunity to do drama, they're going to kill it.
Sure.
Because there's a reason why there's the comedy mask and the tragedy mask. They're just
Yeah.
opposite sides of the same thing. So if you have a good director and producer, then yes, you can do it. So
And
Scott,
you do, and Scotch Ellis Loring, I swear to God, he's the biggest cheerleader, but he will drop the hammer when he has to.
listen, I've had the hammer dropped all on my head. He directed we were in a show together called Homework. I love to call it a one-woman show with 4 men in it, which really means it's a play. And he played 18 different characters to my 6, right? And I fell in love with him then. We became dear friends then and family. We're truly family. And then when I decided to do my second one-woman show, he was my only choice to direct and to co-produce. And he brought out performances in me. Again, if it was on the page, I wrote it so I could do it. He directed me so I could do it. If there's been some auditions that I'm like, I need to leave the room right now because I'm not doing a very good job. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of these lessons, all the experiences that you have gathered along the way, Kim, you are now pouring into other artists and other people in their careers.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful thing. What brought you to this moment? Is it because you just saw a deficit where people were missing something that you knew they needed? Or again, just a natural progression? Like, what brought you to this moment to be so generous with these up and coming artists? Even with me right now, you're pouring into me. So I appreciate it. So how did you get here?
It's all of the above. So what people may not know is, in addition to Sinclair, I'm also a coach. And so I coach people around the realm of storytelling, and really in particular in the realm of business and business growth and business development. So entrepreneurship. So I'm taking what I've learned as a storyteller over here, as a performer, as an actor, and teaching you, how to tell your story in a really clear, concise, and marketable way over here. And so it's like taking your gifts and just transferring them in another area. And by the way, that's something anybody else here can do. If you're really good at something over here, take that same stuff and do it over here.
Oh, they're transferable.
It's transferable, my transferable gifts. And so it really came, long story short, out of a time where I thought I had lost my mojo after Living Single got canceled, and I got really depressed and I wasn't working. I was like, what are my gifts? And my gifts are love and laughter, and seeing joy. Love and laughter, and seeing the possibility of joy in others, right? Joy and possibilities in others. And so why don't I just start coaching? And so I started speaking. I started writing books around the realm of gratitude, passion, success, around finding your gifts being gratitude, intention, forgiveness, triumphs, and self-love. I saw Denise, who was on here a minute ago. Denise was my first brandologist, my brand coach, that helped me take my gifts here and transfer them into being a speaker and a coach and an author. And that then led to me full-blown doing the coaching in the realm of not only personal development, but also business development. So I have something called a community. Community, get it?
It went over my head, Kim.
No. Community mastermind that my business partner and life partner and I do together. We take these wonderful entrepreneurial women and help them shape and grow and scale their businesses. And I'm about to launch something very soon that we're working on behind the scenes that has yet to be named, but it has to do with just finding all the best of everything that's already inside of you and bringing that forth. And now more than ever, we need people living their life out loud, living.
Oh, the volume needs to be turned up.
the
Yes.
volume needs to be turned up. Really, we
No
need to be
doubt.
doing that
Mhm.
thing that we came here to do. I feel like source, however you
Mhm.
language it, source, the
Yeah.
divine God, goddess says, I sent you there to do something. Go do that thing. And I
Yeah.
love helping people to activate that because I got to do
Welcome
that.
to the Kimpire. Okay, there is a title for you, Kimpire.
I also have a Kimpire. This whole thing is my giant Kimpire, but it
Indeed.
involves, it's not just me. It
Uh-huh.
involves helping others to become the best version of themselves too. So I'm excited.
Do you ever have a hard time laughing, Kim? Like last year, I know there was
Yeah.
just so much dismal. I laughed, but it was always forced laughter, and it was always I was finding
Mhm.
reasons to laugh because so much was coming at me. Just in general, do you ever find it's hard for you to laugh, and you just have to like go inward and just find the joy in it, just to make sure that that's being pacified, your
Yeah,
laughter?
I had to do that. I'll admit that last year the way I survived a lot of it
Mhm.
was I had to shut out a lot of the noise.
No doubt.
I had to shut out the noise and find the joy. You know, I told you the joy is already in my my
Yeah,
backpack. So I
yeah.
just had to take it out my backpack and
Unload
say,
that. Yeah.
hello,
See
joy.
what's in there.
Hello, lovely joy. Hello. Hello, friends. Surround yourself with joy as much as possible. It was tough. And a
Yeah.
lot of it was, and some people would disagree with me. I had to shut down some of the news. So I would, come out of, look at the news, see
Mm,
what's going on and go, okay, I can't, I
right.
have to protect my joy so that I can serve others with it. And so
Mhm.
I would say there were times that were things that weren't funny at all. And
Sure.
so I found the joy within, or, would watch a funny show with my boyfriend, or
Mhm.
find some joy in a little garden that we planted that died immediately. And we've got some lettuce that is hanging on, and like there it is. Those tomatoes didn't make it, but dang it, that
Did you
lettuce is
learn how to
hanging.
bake bread at
No,
least?
no, I didn't, because it was like I need to get off of gluten. By the way, and I gained the COVID-19 plus.
You're in good company.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
in good
didn't we
company.
all? Didn't we all? So it's finally coming off. So it is vital that you go looking for the joy someplace,
At this
and within is a good place to
age,
find it.
at 59, that I refuse to believe, but you say you're 59, so we'll go with it.
Almost
Um,
59 and a half. Yeah,
oh my God, this right here, you need to, that's another part of your Kimpire, the skincare routine.
it is. It is. I take good care of this.
What are you grateful for? What is the most thing that you are grateful for at this stage of your life? What can you?
I'm grateful for all of the wisdom, no
Okay.
matter how it was garnered. It
Hmm.
is often, won out of challenge. I'm grateful for loving friends and family. I'm grateful for the joy that lives in my backpack and in my heart. I'm grateful for this awesome boyfriend. Like I finally have gotten it. I finally have figured it out.
You took the scenic route, but you got there.
I took the scenic route, but I got there. And by the way, that's what life is about. Like it's
Yeah.
all about the scenic route. Like
Yeah.
I always say that I'm somebody who didn't have a lot of the childhood trauma. I had like sort of the normal childhood trauma,
Sure.
but a lot of my trauma happened as I was a grown woman, and the choices I
Mhm.
was making, and people I was dating, and things I was choosing, and things I was not choosing. And
Mhm.
I'll take the scenic route any day. I'll take the
Yes,
wisdom any
indeed.
day. And so
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be me, and I'm grateful to have the lessons I've learned, and I'm grateful that the opportunity to work those lessons keeps showing up.
Exactly. They full circle. You may not know why you went through it then, but later on in life, like, that's why I went through that.
Right. And I like to
Yes.
shorten the distance. Like, oh, I figured that one out. I don't need to go down that road. You know what? I know it's on that scenic road. It's going to take me a long
Yeah.
time. I'm going to get hungry. I'm going to have to
Yeah.
pee on the way. I'm just going to take, I'll be fine right here.
What are you still fighting for, though, at this age? What are you still fighting for? Like, what do you get up every morning? Okay, this is my intention. What is that one consistent thing that Kim Coles is still fighting for?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, Jermaine. What am I fighting for? Oh, that's a good question. I would say that I'll say still
Mm,
searching for m- even more connection to the divine, or to
here you go.
to find that space where you are fully grounded and fully connected at the same time. So
Yeah.
that is my constant quest. and it's a worthy quest. Like I burned my sage before coming
Oh
here
my
today.
God.
I'm wearing some
Yes, indeed.
crystals. I'm, you know,
Lorene Chelsea is on, and she introduced me to that last year. I meditate now. I have crystals. I have my flower guide. Even Scott, she's even
oh,
turned me on to something.
please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I
I
thought I was
find
looking
my
for my,
divine power in everything.
yeah. So I'm forever searching for that, to have that connection remain constant, because when you feel, I really think that the hardest times come when you get out of that alignment. That, you know,
Mhm,
the truth is that lessons will come and challenges will come, but it will be even harder when you don't like
mhm,
check in with the God of your understanding. So I would say
mhm,
I'm ever searching for, and I would say I'll also, if you say fighting for,
mhm.
my peace, like getting to the place of peace. And maybe that's what peace is the constant alignment.
Do you have a favorite crystal? I have a couple of ladies asking about your crystals. Do you have a
I
favorite
mean,
one?
let's
Oh,
see.
you're gonna pull it out? Oh wow, there we
Wait,
go.
hold on.
Donna Lorraine, just you hold. She's pulling out her crystals.
Which one? I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know.
well, they'll be able to name them. Oh my
This
God.
is a quartz with some tourmaline. This was a birthday present from the boyfriend. This one is actually aura treated bloodstone in
Oh
the shape of a
wow.
flame, and so this helps with pain relief and clearing your
Ooh.
mind. This one is a flame that's for passion and creativity.
Yes.
This one is iolite with sunstone. It's a
Yes, indeed.
vision and leadership. Oh, there's so many. I'm wearing some quartz, amethyst, of course, without doubt, and rose quartz, which I don't have my
Oh
rose
yes.
quartz. Usually have a rose quartz heart that my beloved Scotch gave me, but I'll keep
Oh.
going. I'll keep going. You know, there's a hyperstein, which helps an active mind. All of them. All of them.
Oh my God. Are you going to be on QVC hawking these things?
Part of the Kempire, darling. Part of the Kempire.
Let's close with some rapid fire. This has been such a divine treat for me, Miss Kim Coles. You have done it. I can't believe I'm sitting with a legend on this 23rd day in May.
You are a bright, shiny light.
Oh,
A
thank you,
bright,
love. I
shiny light.
appreciate
Thank you.
that. All right, so we're whirling down the PCH. You got the windows down, or you turn on the AC?
Oh, this is part of the thing. Both.
Yeah, this is rapid fire.
I like
Windows
both.
down or AC? Oh,
AC
both.
and Windows. I like both.
All right, you're chilling in front of Netflix. You got a bag of chips or a bag of popcorn?
Oh, popcorn.
Popcorn.
Don't make me popcorn. But potato chips are my favorite food. So that's a trick question.
I'm gonna knock on Kim's door and she's gonna answer the door. She's gonna be barefoot, and she's gonna have on slippers, or will she have on socks?
Barefoot or flip-flops.
All right. And finally, when you go to the grocery store, do you have a list, or do you just wing it when you get there?
Wing it when I get there.
I'll have a list and I'll leave it in the car.
Right. I have a list in my head and I forget everything. So I just go up and down the aisles and get way too much stuff.
Kim, thank you so much, my love. You have blessed my soapbox and me, and I really wish you much success. I'll be following you, and whenever there's something you're adding to that Kempire, I will blast it. Do you hear me? I will blast it.
I hear you. I adore you. You are a bright, shiny light. And I wish you
Thank
all
you so much.
the continued success. And your producer, give your producer my best.
I think I will call him after this.
You call him first and I'll call him right after you.
Thank you. You have a great Sunday and a wonderful summer.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Kim.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, all of your wonderful tailor-made friends.
Yes, Soapbox Nation, they represented today. Thank you, guys. Bye, Kim. Oh, okay. I see.
Right? Bye.
Bye. You have a good week. Bye-bye. Folks, and like that is my second season finale with the illustrious, legendary Kim Coles, and I can't thank her enough for doing this. I'm going to do a little something for Gay Pride next month. I don't know what, but it's something I'm kind of cooking with what producer we just got through talking about. But be looking out for that. But the season is officially over with Kim, and I thank you guys so much for supporting me. Your support means so much to me, and today was like the cherry on top. So have a great week, and I will chat with you again soon. Bye, guys.